6 stone jars sit in a dim corner of a courtyard. They weigh as much as a grown man each when full. Their job is simple: hold water, clean hands before meals, nothing more. But tonight, in a small village in Galilee, those jars will hold something no one expects. To understand why, we need to go back a few hours. The sun is still high. Dust hangs in the air. A wedding feast stretches through its second day. Dozens of guests crowd long tables under linen canopies. Laughter spills out into the street. Children chase each other between the legs of dancers. The groom's family has spent months planning this. Every detail matters: the food, the music, the seating, and above all, the wine. In this culture, running out of wine at a wedding is not a small mistake. It's a public shame, the kind that follows a family for years. Neighbors whisper about it. Business deals fall through. Marriage hopes for younger siblings dim. Kindness toward guests is not a courtesy here. It is a moral duty. And the wine is running out. No one says it out loud at first. The servants know. They tilt the last jar, and the stream thins to a trickle. They glance at each other. One of them slips away to find the steward. The steward's face goes pale. He counts the guests. He counts the hours left. The math does not work. Now, standing near the edge of the courtyard, a woman watches all of this unfold. She is not the host. She is not a servant. She is a guest. But she sees what others miss. She notices the servants' tight faces. She reads the steward's body language, and she turns to the man beside her, her son. She says 5 words. "Sire, they have no wine." Sut. That's it. No demand. No command. No plea. Just a quiet statement of fact, passed from a mother to her son. And here's what most people miss about this moment. In the original Greek text, the word used for how she speaks is not an order. It's closer to aku, she mentions. She passes the word along. It's gentle. It's trusting. She doesn't tell him what to do. She simply names the problem and steps back. Then she turns to the servants. And her second line is just as striking. Whatever he tells you, do it. She doesn't know what will happen next. She doesn't promise a miracle. She just builds a bridge between the need and the response. This chain of command is worth pausing on, because it's not how we expect power to work. There's no raised voice, no public speech, no grand gesture. A mother whispers. A son listens. Servants obey. And the entire course of the feast changes. The most common reading of this scene casts Mary as someone who pushes her son into action. But the Greek tells a different story. She prompts. She doesn't push. And the gap between those two words holds a world of meaning. Now the servants stand in front of 6 stone jars, each one carved from solid rock. Wide mouths, rough surfaces, the kind of vessels you'd find in any devout household. They are tools of ritual. Before every meal, guests wash their hands in the water from jars like these. It's a practice rooted in law and custom, repeated several times a day. These jars are as ordinary as a kitchen sink. No one looks at them twice. Jesus tells the servants to fill them to the brim. Pure water. Nothing else. They haul bucket after bucket from the well. Each jar holds enough water to fill a bathtub. When all 6 are full, the total is staggering. Enough to serve every guest at the feast many times over. But here's the thing. No one sees what happens next. There's no flash of light, no thunder, no visible change to the jars themselves. The stone stays stone. The shape stays the same. The change is entirely inside, hidden. The servants draw from the jars and carry a cup to the steward. That's all. A quiet walk across the courtyard. A cup placed in a hand. The steward lifts it. He drinks, and his eyes go wide. He doesn't know where the wine came from. He hasn't been told about the empty jars, or the whispered words, or the buckets of well water. He only knows what his tongue tells him, and his tongue tells him this is the finest wine he has ever tasted. He pulls the groom aside. He's almost offended. Most people serve the best wine first, he says. When the guests have had plenty, they bring out the cheap stuff. But you saved the best for last. This reaction matters more than it seems. The steward is not a follower. He is not a believer. He is a worker whose entire job is judging quality. And his verdict is clear. Whatever is in that cup is better than aged wines that took years to develop their flavor. The miracle didn't just produce wine. It produced the best wine anyone at that feast had ever tasted. Now, the easy objection here is that this never happened at all. That the whole story is a symbol, a teaching tool, a parable dressed up as history. And that's a fair question. John's Gospel is full of layered meaning. Water appears again and again as a symbol. Wine carries weight as a sign of joy and promise. So why take this as more than myth? Because the details are too specific to be invented for meaning alone. The jar sizes match what we've found in the ground. Digs in Galilee turned up stone jars from the same era, each holding roughly the amount described. The ritual laws that governed their use show up in legal texts from the same period. The steward's reaction follows the social customs of a real feast, not a literary device. The Greek words used for Mary's speech match patterns found elsewhere in John's writing, not formulas borrowed from other traditions. The story sits where real life and deep meaning cross. It works as both, and stripping away either side makes it less, not more. But here's where the obvious reading falls short. Most people hear "and water into wine" and think it's about raw power, a display of strength, proof of divine status, and that misses the strangest part of the whole event. Almost no one saw it happen. The guests didn't know. The groom didn't know. The steward didn't know. Only the servants and a handful of followers witnessed the full picture. This is not a public show. It's a private act of care, done in the margins of a party to save a family from shame. The power is real, but it's hidden, wrapped in kindness, not spectacle. And that's the pattern that keeps repeating. John calls this the first of 7 signs. Each one follows the same shape. Ordinary things, bread, mud, a dead friend, become vessels for something beyond themselves. But the moment of change is always quiet, always easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Think about the jars for a second. They didn't change shape. They didn't glow. They didn't crack or melt or turn into crystal goblets. They stayed exactly what they were. Rough stone. Ritual tools? The kind of thing you walk past every day. The miracle happened inside them. In the contents, not the container. That's the detail that shifts everything. The amazing didn't replace the ordinary. It filled it. The same vessel that held water for hand washing now held the finest wine in the room. Its purpose didn't change. Its capacity did. But this pattern has limits. Not every vessel gets filled. Not every routine becomes a miracle. The jars at Cana were filled because someone noticed a need. Someone else named it out loud. And a third group followed orders they didn't fully grasp. Remove any link in that chain, and the jars stay full of water. The magic isn't in the stone. It's in the response. Think about what happens when there is no one to notice. When the servants shrug and let the wine run out. When the mother stays silent. When the orders go ignored. Nothing. The jars sit in their corner. The feast stumbles. The family carries the shame. The potential stays locked inside ordinary stone, waiting for a prompt that never comes. That's the tension at the heart of this story. Not whether miracles are possible, but whether anyone is willing to name what's missing, to speak up, to trust what comes next, even when the orders sound absurd. Fill jars with water when you need wine? That makes no sense, until it does. The servants didn't argue. They didn't understand. They just carried buckets. And the gap between obedience and understanding is where the change happened. 2,000 years later, the village is still debated. Some scholars place it at a town tourists visit today. Others point to ruins on a different hill, where cisterns from the right period have been found. The exact spot doesn't change the story. What matters is the shape of it. A need no one wants to admit. A quiet word. An act of trust. And something new. Something better. Pouring out of the last place anyone thought to look. If this story landed with you, if it shifted how you see the ordinary things around you, there's more waiting. The next story in this series goes deeper into the signs John recorded, each one stranger and more personal than the last. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. 6 jars still sit in a dim corner. rough stone, nothing special. But they're full to the brim now, and what's inside them is not what you poured in.